Okay, guys, we're going to do an ink and crayon project. And you're going to need a piece of white paper. And I should have some of those over there. And you're going to need a black pen. And I should have set some over there. Any black pen will work if you have your own. Don't use a Sharpie. It's too fat unless you have one of those super fine tip ones. And be careful about some of the gel black pens, just if they smear. So just be aware if you have one that tends to smear, keep your hand off of it and be careful. So you want to put your paper portrait up and down. I've also found that pen works a little better if you pad your paper a little bit. So put it on your sketchbook or put it on a couple other pieces of paper so it's got a little bit of padding underneath it, and your pen will work a little better. So hopefully you can see this. So I'm going to try to work upside down, see if I can do that. So you want to go at about, a third of the way up your paper. Okay, and that's where you're going to start. And you're going to start making these mountains. Okay, so I'm going to do that and then show you. And you have a copy of this in your room as well, so you can look at that close. Okay, so this is my initial mountain range line. And then you're going to come in and add some little details like the other sides, the sides of the mountains, not the faces, the sides, to do shading. So I'll do that real quick, but this is kind of your mountain lines. You can kind of see that closer. I like that. Freeze and pause there if you need to. So I added my sides, my faces like that. Okay, so you should have something like that. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some holes or some places where there'll be some shadows on the faces of these. Okay, so now I've drawn these really simple shapes in there that are going to be shadows on the faces of my mountains. So now we're going to go in and we're going to make hatching lines. So when you do lines close together, they are precise. They are not scribbles. Okay, there is definite thought to them. Okay, let's see if I can get this down enough here. Okay, so we're going to go like this. And I'm trying to keep the same equal distance apart. I'm trying to touch the lines that I've already made without going over. And they don't have to be exact. Obviously, that one was a little bit bigger, but you get the idea. I am not scribbling. I am not coloring. I am hatching, which is making precise lines. Okay, so try to do this. And this signifies shadows because these, from a distance especially, should look like gray. Okay, do the same thing in this one. Everything that's supposed to be a side should be done this way. And do you notice that I'm not moving my arm? My wrist is my pivot point. I move my wrist. I keep my pen at the same angle over and over. And I move, see, I just pivot my hand back and forth. Okay. That also helps me not smear because I'm not moving my whole arm all over the place and rubbing on top of my ink as I go. Okay. And then this little one over in the corner, it's going to get it too because its whole thing is just kind of behind. Okay, so there's all my sides. Now I'm going to do the same thing in these little shadowy places on the fronts of my mountain. Okay. And in some places, I may leave a little bit of white on purpose, but I'll show you that. Okay, so like here, got a blob there. Oops. I'm just going to go like this. Just give it a different, like there's a smooth part there. Okay. Hold on just a second, I'm recording. Okay, and I'm going to go like this. And then I'm going to fill that one in. And then we are done with the hatching. So I have the mountains part done. So now we're going to draw the lines for the hills. And we're going to put the hill lines in first and then put the trees. So right at the bottom, see if I can do this again upside down. Right at the bottom of my mountains is where I want my first line. So about like that. Okay. All right. And then I want to, I don't think I can do this upside down. So I'm going to pause. Do it. Okay. So there are my lines of my hills. And then next I'm going to put on trees. And as I put on the trees, make sure the bottoms of the trees are all touching one of these lines. And the farther back they are, the smaller they should be. And then I'm going to start with the one in the front. And it'll be the biggest, and it's going to go off the page at the bottom. So I'm going to do that one first. I decided I'd record myself making this tree so you can see. So I really am going to put the ink on heavy here. And I kind of do it a section at a time, because that really makes it look more tree-like. I don't have to cover every single bit of white space, but I want to cover a lot of it. And it's okay if you make it be not quite perfect, but I kind of go and do it. I keep increasing the same angle to get it right, and then I'll come in and add some little sticky out parts so it looks more real. But I do want to get it filled enough that you can't see the ink of the line behind it. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up just a little bit because I want to take this right off the edge on the bottom. Okay, but if you're doing that, don't do it on your desk. Put another piece of paper behind you. Okay, now I'm going to go in and make them not be quite so perfect. And I'm going to kind of mess up my rows a little bit. Go over the place where the rows kind of came together. Okay, so there's my first tree. Then the other ones are pretty small towards the back, so let's do a few here. Let me show you. So they're not going to take anywhere near as much time. Pen still has a little bit of wax on it. It's a new one. Okay, there's one. I'm going to put a really tiny one here next to it. And a little bit taller, skinny one here. Okay, notice how I touched the line completely at the bottom. Okay, make sure you do that. So there's that one. And then just think about your composition as you do the rest of them. Where does it need one? So I'm going to put one, just a lonely one all by itself over here. Just to kind of put a little bit in this spot. And I don't want to do too many, but I want it to look full. Okay, and I'm going to do another one here, pretty short here, and then a little taller there. And then one kind of skinny one. And the nice part about this, you really can't mess these up as long as you kind of have a wider base and a skinnier top. They look like trees. Okay. Let's see what I want to do over on this side. Let's go with a bigger one here for composition's sake. Okay. All right. And do I want anything up close? I'm trying to decide if I should put one down here. I think I will. Not a real big one. I don't really have anything on this row, so I'm just going to put let's make this one look a little. Okay, something like that. All right, so that's the end of the ink part. So now you need to get some crayons, and we're going to kind of make a Aurora Borealis type thing. And if you don't know what Aurora Borealis is, it's another word for the northern lights. Hopefully you've heard of those. So we'll end here, and then I'll do the crayon part.